The conference room buzzed with chatter as I glanced at my phone, its screen lighting up with an incoming call from Tyler. Stepping out into the hallway, I expected the usual small talk. How's the trip? When will you be home? Instead, Tyler's voice came through, cold and smug. I'm divorcing you, he said, his tone almost triumphant. I've already sold the apartment, so you'll need to figure out where you're going to live. Enjoy that. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The audacity of it, the complete lack of remorse, was almost laughable. My hand tightened around the phone as his words sank in. You sold the apartment? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Yeah, he said with a dry laugh. Nicole and I need the money to set up our life together. She deserves better than a tiny place like that. Anyway, Nicole. The name stung. I'd suspected for months there was someone else. Tyler's late nights, his sudden work trips, the mounting distance between us. But hearing him say her name so casually, as if I were the intruder in their life, lit a fire in my chest. Sounds good, I replied evenly. There was no way I was giving him the satisfaction of hearing me crack. My name is Amelia. And up until that phone call, I thought I'd married a man I could trust. Tyler and I had been together for 6 years, and while things hadn't always been perfect, I'd believed in our partnership. We'd worked hard to buy our apartment, a cozy 2-bedroom in the city that I'd fallen in love with the moment I saw it. It wasn't just a home, it was a symbol of everything we'd built together. Or at least, that's what I'd thought, looking back. There had been signs of small cracks in the foundation I'd ignored. Tyler's dismissive attitude whenever I asked about finances, his tendency to brush off my concerns with a charming smile and a quick kiss. I'd always assumed his confidence came from knowing what he was doing. Now I realized it came from knowing he could manipulate me. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I sat through client meetings, nodding at all the right moments while my mind raced. Tyler thought he'd won. He thought he could pull the rug out from under me, sell the home I'd worked so hard for, and walk away scot-free. But there was one crucial detail he didn't know. The apartment deed had been in my name, alone for months. I'd had it transferred. After we refinanced earlier in the year I moved, Tyler had agreed to without much thought because it meant a lower interest rate. He'd never bothered to ask about the details or read the paperwork he'd signed. His carelessness was going to be his undoing. By the time I returned to my hotel room that evening, my shock had turned into resolve. I wasn't going to cry or beg. Tyler wanted to fight. Fine. But this was a fight I was going to win. The first call I made was to Chloe, my lawyer and longtime friend. I laid out the situation in painstaking detail, my voice calm even as my pulse raced. He sold the apartment. She repeated, incredulous. Does he even realize he can't do that without your consent? Apparently not, I said, a hint of amusement creeping into my tone. He thinks he's already spent the money on his new life with Nicole. Chloe laughed dryly. Well, he's in for a rude awakening. The sale is invalid. You can prove sole ownership. And if he's taken any money from the buyer, he's on the hook for fraud. The word fraud sent a jolt of satisfaction through me. What do we need to do? I asked. First, we'll notify the buyer that the sale isn't legal, Chloe said. Then we'll draft a formal letter for Tyler outlining the consequences of his actions. If he's dumb enough to try anything else, We'll take him to court. As I hung up, I felt a strange sense of calm settle over me. Tyler thought he'd outsmarted me, that he'd left me powerless and scrambling. But in reality, he'd just set himself up for the ultimate humiliation. I spent the rest of the trip focusing on my work, compartmentalizing my emotions and channeling my energy into the task ahead. The betrayal hurt, but the prospect of reclaiming my life and watching Tyler's smugness crumble gave me a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in months. When I boarded the plane home, I was ready to face Tyler, ready to dismantle his lies, ready to start a new chapter without him. This wasn't just about winning. It was about taking back control.